Many people in Nepal are heavily reliant on traditional farming practices for survival. Yet recent population growth and increased demand for resources have made these subsistence farming practices considerably more difficult and unsustainable. Forced to collect forage feed for their cattle from common lands, neighbours find themselves in competition for the low-quality feed. Undertaken by the women of the village, the activity is both time-consuming and exhausting, and the lack of nutritious animal feed results in low milk yield for the farmers, which is their primary source of income. However, a recent aid programme involving the Nepal Agricultural Research Council, Department of Livestock Services, Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives, and New Zealand's Plant and Food Research has been working to help alleviate poverty and address these problems. As Keith Armstrong, a specialist in fodder cultivation from Plant and Food Research, explains.
Well, there were three problems that we needed to solve in Nepal. The first one was the scarcity of fodder on farms, and that led to the second problem: poor animal health, fertility and production. And the third problem was the high workload of women farmers in particular, who do most of the animal husbandry work in collecting fodder from parks and reserves. What we wanted to do was to coach the farmers into becoming high quality producers of fodder on their own land, rather than them having to leave the land in search of fodder.
Nepal's mountainous north is home to 8 of the world's 10 tallest mountains, including Mount Everest, while in the south the climate is humid and subtropical. To address the issues affecting Nepal's farmers, the Cooperative Research Programme began working with 50 households in 6 regions spread throughout Nepal, including farms in both the highland and lowland areas. The programme aimed to enhance farmers' own ability to grow high-quality feed on their own land all year round. It's also about educating farmers about the benefits of modern crop rotation and animal feeding systems, as well as identifying new forage crop cultivars best suited to each of the regions.
The idea of the district clusters was to build expertise in fodder production technologies with the expectation that this technology would spread from these clusters to neighbouring farmers. We expected to influence about 700 farmers other than the 300 that we had directly worked with. To our surprise, the technology spread rapidly from these district clusters until a year ago, that's September 2010, we know of 10,800 farmers, additional farmers who had picked up the technology.
The focus of the research project was to improve milk yields, the major influence on farming incomes. To achieve this, researchers carried out investigations to select improved cultivars for each region using new varieties and elite germplasm supplied by Plant and Food Research and its commercial seed company partners in New Zealand and the United States. Improved plant varieties were then planted on 100 square metre sections of land on each farm and run as seasonal fodder crop rotation trials. This taught farmers about how crop rotation systems using legumes can improve soil quality and fertility. Land, traditionally left fallow over the dry winter months, was also planted to produce winter fodder, so increasing the available feed for livestock. Using these new technologies, farming efficiencies have greatly improved, along with animal fertility and milk yields, resulting in increased production at milk collection points throughout Nepal.
The project started in 2007, and there has been a lot of enthusiasm amongst the farmers because there has been a significant increase in milk production. For example, before the project, the milk produced totaled 100 to 250 liters a day. But now, even in off-season, we manage to produce around 150 liters, but in season we produce up to 400 liters per day. The challenge now is to have enough vats to store the milk in, because I believe that the farmers can produce up to 700 to 800 liters of milk per day.
By solving the fodder problem, farmers became collaborators rather than competing with each other for fodder. I think that's a very important distinction, and that's what's helped improve their lifestyle, because now they can collaborate. They've been able to establish cooperatives for marketing their produce, from which they can earn dividends. So they're earning more money They have more time for planning. In 2003 they were subsistence farmers. They're not subsistence farmers now. They have more of a commercial focus. They are better organised. When we first started in 2003, it was very difficult to get the farmers together for a meeting for more than half an hour. They were just simply too busy. Now we were able to spend more time with them looking at their crops, and these crops became part of a sort of a farm discussion type group where they could ask questions, we could ask questions, and this has helped establish a really good working relationship with these people. The farmers tell us that these extended visits were very useful to them. They learnt a lot from them, as we learnt from them. And that was a very important part of this project. The implementation of these technologies is now being passed down through the families, so that the sons and daughters will make better farmers than their parents have in future. Part of the issue for rural women was the amount of time they spent away from their homes collecting fodder. That would be up to 7 and 8 hours a day in some cases, and carrying heavy loads of fodder back home. That was a very stressful and heavy assignment, and that occurred each day.
Before we started the grass farming, we had to leave home at 7 in the morning after completing all our household chores to forage for grass. Women then spent the entire day collecting fodder and got home around 5 or 6 in the evening. Because of this, we didn't have any time to look after our children or even have meals ourselves. Neither did we have any time for maintaining our household. Now we no longer have to be away for so long to collect fodder.
Now they can harvest the fodder from their own land, close to home. Their children are not left unattended. They can take their children with them. While I was there, I heard of many examples of improvements in lifestyles. In one family in the Carvery district with 6 children, none of whom attended school prior to the project. Now they all attend school. Their workload has been reduced by so much they no longer need their children to help them with the fodder collection and feeding of the animals. The husband and wife can do all the work themselves and still have free time for other chores and other crops.
We've been able to save time. It's now easy for the kids to go to school because their work is done sooner and they have plenty of time to prepare for it. Because we save so much time, we can now afford to raise more cattle, which leads to more financial gain.
The project worked well because we used mainly resources from in Nepal and research to design and implement an extension package that could work for farmers.
This aid project has significantly changed the lives of many thousands of rural families. It successfully addressed the core needs of Nepalese farmers and established fodder crop rotation systems to produce high yields of quality fodder year-round for milk-producing cattle. Working with farmers in a collaborative manner, benefits have quickly spread throughout rural Nepal as neighbouring communities share their knowledge and the new improved cultivars. The success of this project means that further aid programs like this are possible. We can now apply similar models that share best practice production methods and use elite plant material to help farmers in need throughout the world.